go, baby. Yeah.
I ain't going through the whole thing. It take too long. This ain't a podcast. This is a video. I do want to say, gang, gang, bang, bang. Seattle, cry me a river. We'll see y'all in 2 weeks. Anyway, this is a basketball video. I had to get that off, though. It's been a while, man. 2020, I got a lot of stuff planned. If you're new to the channel or you've forgotten about the channel, I know I haven't been that active. I got more stuff coming. Subscribe, hit the notification bell. I got hot takes coming on current stuff, but we need to answer the questions. Everybody wants to deliver you the news. Oh, Karl Anthony Towns could be a Warrior. The Warriors are monitoring Karl Anthony Towns, and everybody goes, oh, the trade. But let's really talk about what questions this brings up, because it's just not that simple. We've all heard the breaking news by now, and yeah, I'm sure every team in the league is going to monitor Karl Anthony Towns if he's unhealthy, unhappy. But I wanted to take a look at how exactly they have got there with this, with Minnesota. Now, you know, if you want to go way back, not way back, but, 10, 12 years ago with the David Kahn era in Minnesota, right now, they had some glorious missteps. Johnny Flynn, Ricky Rubio, Derek Williams. I mean, the list goes on. I don't want to, bring up old shit, Timberwolves fans, but that wasn't part of Karl Anthony Towns' era, so he really, he can't feel no type of way about that. But what exactly did happen that may have led to this? Obviously, the proof is in the pudding. They're not winning enough. That's just number one out front, right? But they brought in Tom Thibodeau, kind of an old school guy, had trouble meshing with millennials, these young dudes. And then really, I don't know if his style of play, if he adapted his coaching style to the modern basketball three-point era and all that stuff. So it didn't really work. Now, what he did was trade Zach LaVine and what became Lauri Markkanen for Jimmy Butler. We know how that ended up, right? And I'm going to get to this. We're going to go through possible trade suitors and what it will cost, right? Or perhaps who would be interested. And I had Miami on there because of their assets, right? I'm like, well, they could give them Bam Adebayo, Tyler Hero. They've got a lot of assets if they wanted to really go all in. And then I realized, wait a minute. They got Jimmy Butler over there. So I don't think Miami's going to be putting in a bid on Karl Anthony Towns, right? So, that didn't, in hindsight's 2020, obviously Jimmy Butler, if it would have worked, it would have worked. And Markkanen isn't exactly a world beater, but LaVine is coming to his own offensively in Chicago. And if that trade never happened, things may look different in Minnesota is all I'm going to say. Right now, they hire Ryan Saunders, who was the interim coach a year ago. He's like the youngest coach in the NBA. He looks like a valet. He looks like someone's valet, right? He looks so young. And initially, I liked the juice and freedom he gave the team when he was the interim coach a year ago, right? But now, watching them this year, I've watched them 2 or 3 times. They're not playing very hard. They quit in games, frankly, and I think that at his age, this is no fault to him. I just think you look at his stature, like literally how small and young he looks. And then at his age, it's very hard for him to command the respect of an NBA team. There was an initial honeymoon phase of, oh, let's have fun. Let's be free. Let's open it up. And they do shoot a lot of threes and they're playing modern basketball. But I just think that, there's got to be an element of fear or respect, kind of like a parent, right? You're a parent. It can't just be all fun and games. You can't be their friends. They have to fear you a little bit so you can command their respect and be disciplined. So they're missing that. I don't know how long, that's going to happen. Now, the thing is, this is different than the Anthony Davis situation and a lot of these other situations because Karl Anthony Towns signed a 5-year supermax deal last September. So he's on the hook till the 24 season. I believe, right? 23-24 season. So this isn't like, oh, they've got to trade him before he becomes a free agent, perhaps a Giannis situation in AD. We've seen it with various other superstars, right? It's not that, right? But, at the same time, again, you have to look at how much are they winning with him? He's now he's young, relatively young, right? But he's had plenty of experience in the league. Is this year 4 or 5? I don't know what it is, but basically, the proof's in the pudding. They're not doing a whole lot of winning, okay? And so, to me, Karl Anthony Towns at this point, he's super talented. He's very good. But just like Anthony Davis, he's best suited as a number 2, right? That's how I view him. I think he is a super Robin not a Batman. He's a super Robin. And there's been plenty of those throughout the years. Scottie Pippen, Anthony Davis is the recent one, Dwayne Wade, we can go, the list goes on, right? And they can be Batmans, but can they be champions as Batmans? And so I think in an ideal situation, he's aligned with another superstar because he just doesn't really have that alpha mentality. So the interesting thing with the turnover is they have a new GM this year in, what's his name? Gerson Rosas. And I probably butchered that. He's a Colombian dude, 41 years old. And the interesting thing is he worked with Daryl Morey in Houston for a lot of years. Before that, Dallas, and he was a foreign scout for Team USA. So he has a lot of experience. He's no rookie. But you just wonder if he subscribes to the Daryl Morey method of never mind the fit, just get the talent and then hope it works out, right? Is he going to be active and aggressive like Daryl Morey? And I just bring it up because, he didn't draft Towns. There's no connection. A lot of the times teams are reluctant to move on from homegrown products and guys that become stars. So there's no connection. Maybe he's going to view this as an opportunity to reset and have a quick rebuild, a flip of the switch by gaining a ton of assets by trading a disgruntled Karl Anthony Towns who, let's be honest, they haven't been winning with him, right? You know what I mean? So it's a little bit of a different scenario. It's not necessarily where they have to do it. And what that means is I think that the cost will be more. The cost will be more. And so let's go in to some of these trades. I was messing around in the trade machine. I want to shout out my guy, Ray, for he was on this early and he suggested this video. And he has, before I bring up the D-Lo trade, he mentioned a trade of Draymond, the picks, some of the young players for Towns. Now, this trade cannot happen until basically the summertime as far as the draft picks. I don't think he's going to be moved in the midseason here unless someone comes with a crazy bag. We're going to go through these offers. But here's the thing. The Warriors technically don't own their draft pick until it lands under 20 in the lottery. So lottery, whenever that is in May during the second round of the playoffs, as long as it's under 20, which it looks like it will be, then it's ours. But otherwise it's Brooklyn. So we don't technically own the draft pick. So you can't trade it now. So this is a summer move. And Ray suggested Draymond, the draft pick, some young pieces for Towns. I don't think you can sell an organization on Draymond as the main piece. And it could be part of a rebuild and all that. I don't think that's enough. I don't think that's what it's going to be. If it was the proposal. And here's the initial trade that I came up with, right? D'Lo, Pascal, and the pick for Towns. That's a king's ransom, right? That's a lot, man. And I put top 5 there because I'm just in anticipation. Now things can change. Obviously, there's a lot of games to be played. I'm assuming it's going to be around a top 5 pick, but who knows where it lands because the trade will probably be made after the draft pick. Minnesota will wait for the exact to see who's on the board, unless it's the number 1 pick in the draft where they can have their pick of the litter. They'll see who's on the board, right? But I mean, if potentially, let's just throw this out there: a James Wiseman, D'Angelo Russell, and Eric Pascal for Karl Anthony Towns, for a guy who's claiming I don't want to be there, right? Because that's going to be hard to beat, right? But again, who else is going to be offering it? Now, the other rumor here was the Knicks. I'm doing these live pictures here. Let's get this cat off, D'Lo off. The other one was the Knicks. Okay? And the interesting thing, I guess we've seen this with a lot of superstars. I believe even Anthony Davis said, I'm open to the Knicks. Everybody says they're open to the Knicks. And what that tells me is that at least they're not too crazy about winning. Winning isn't everything, right? If you're open to go to the Knicks right now, let's keep it a buck. It ain't all about winning. But I've recently read that the Knicks, everybody's on the table except RJ Barrett. Well, the reality of the situation is if they want to bid on Karl Anthony Towns, again, he can't force his way out of town. RJ Barrett has to be on the table. In fact, RJ Barrett has to have a very strong rest of his rookie campaign for him to even be of that value, right? And so it would be something like Barrett, Randall, and their pick I'm anticipating would be a top 3 pick. And so, that you can make your argument that matches the Warriors deal. I would say that D'Angelo Russell is a much more proven commodity than RJ Barrett at this point. Barrett may have more potential, physically speaking. But, I think that also the interesting thing is how much of Minnesota wanting D'Angelo Russell was to appease Karl Anthony Towns, right? If Towns is never on that roster, or forget that. Towns is never friends with D'Angelo. He doesn't know him. Are they courting him as hard as they were? Or was this to kind of keep him pleased because they already knew he was unhappy? So that's something to think about with the deal. Do they even want D'Lo without Towns? But back to the Knicks deal, that's going to be something that's viable. Again, if they land the number 1 pick, then, that could be there. All right. Moving over to the Western Conference, the Phoenix Suns. This one just makes a whole lot of sense, right? You saw the slam cover with D'Lo, Book, and Towns on it and how they all want to play together. Well, this would be one way to make it happen, right? The big question is DeAndre Ayton, obviously suspended for 25 games, just came back. He sprained the ankle game 1 against the Clippers, but he was back the other night against Portland. You see the physical tools, right? You see that mid-range jumper, kind of LaMarcus Aldridge-like in how soft it is. But physically speaking, he's much more gifted. Quick second jump. He runs the floor like a little guy. You just question his physicality and kind of, I won't say his motor, just maybe his physicality and aggression, his alphaness, if you will, just much like Towns, right? But this would be very much dependent on how Ayton looks the rest of this season. If Ayton starts becoming a double-double machine, he's getting them 20 and 10 on a regular basis, then this may be the best deal on the table. It's remained to be seen. I put a question mark with the lottery pick here because, the Suns are still fighting for that 8th seed. So who knows where that pick is? If they could offer up this deal with a top 10 pick and Ayton coming off an impressive sophomore season, that's another, valuable deal. And then obviously the Suns, I think, wouldn't blink at pairing Towns and Booker. Right? There's your 1-2 punch for the next 10 years. All right. These other ones here, I don't have. The trade machine wouldn't even let me run them through because they're not eligible to be traded because of the size of the deals or what contracts they're on right now. But this one, Bradley Beal, would be a straightaway trade to me. I don't think there would be draft picks or other players involved. They both, I think the salaries match. And, who knows the incentive it would be. I think for Minnesota, you would be saying you're getting the most sure thing back. You're getting a proven star player in his prime. So it's the safe trade. With Washington, obviously, they've committed to Beal, but it was a 3-year deal, right? Wall coming back off the Achilles. It would just be like a change of scenery for both guys. And I just think that it's of fair value, right? The other one, which I think potentially could be the biggest trade, could be the best haul for Minnesota, is this dude Brandon Ingram. And I'm not here to say, hey, Brandon Ingram, I knew Brandon Ingram, man. I've plenty of times, if you want to go search what I've said about him, man, I wasn't impressed. There's been a lot of times where I questioned his motor, his passion for the game, those sleepy eyes, his frame. Is he durable enough? But here I go back to that phrase, the proof is in the pudding. And right now, dude, he's looking like a dominant player. And he's looking like a special dude. Now, he's still on his rookie deal. So it would have to be a sign and trade in the summer. Brandon Ingram is not eligible for a supermax. He has never made any kind of accolades in his career, right? So they would have to work the contract, maybe Derek Favors in that deal. Now, the Pelicans are quietly surging here. Lonzo's hitting threes, but it's really on the back of Brandon Ingram, who's been their best player. And that's, I won't say saying a lot, but no, he's been better than Drew Holiday. And so, I don't know if they're going to have a playoff run here, if Zion gets back, and who knows the fit. And I'll even go out on a limb here and say this. There is a chance that by the end of this season, the Pelicans are like, man, we ain't trading you Ingram for Cat. Like, no. You know what I'm saying? And because the fact that he is a ball handler and can create on his own, if he continues at this trajectory and he keeps playing like this, I would make the argument that he might be worth more than Towns moving forward, because at his size, he probably has the tightest handle I've seen for a dude about 6'10". there's guys with comparable, but the way it's tight and the way he uses it. And so I'm very impressed with Ingram, but I wanted to throw that out there as who knows? Who knows how the season has to play out. This isn't a trade that's going to happen in February at the All-Star break. It's going to be an off-season move. And so you're going to have to see how some of these young players play out the rest of this season to see what their value is, right? I've got one more crazy one for you. And when I put this on the screen, y'all are going to right? But hold on. Just let me just throw it out here. Right? And look, man, I'm just saying, here's where now D'Angelo and Towns are together. That was the idea with them in the first place, right? And the Warriors don't give up their pick or any of their young players. Minnesota finally gets their hand on the player that they should have drafted all those years ago, right? In Steph Curry. And, excites the fan base. Now, obviously, I don't know how for Minnesota, that's an interesting one. Now that I think about it, that might even be a tough sell because as good as Steph is at 32, 33, what are you going to do with that? They don't have the pieces around him to get it done in his window. But I just wanted to get y'all mad. I just wanted to get y'all mad because whenever I throw out a Steph Curry in a trade, man, it's blasphemous and I got everybody on my neck. And so I thought, why not? Let's do it again. But anyway, man, what is it? New Year's Eve. I'm gonna have a similar video to this with Kyle Kuzma because we all know he's on the block. We know, right? Again, I'm not breaking news to you, but let's talk about why and what may happen. Not just breaking the news. So I'll have that in the next couple days. Let me know what y'all think. Is anybody else you think going to be involved in the Karl Anthony Towns sweepstakes if they do happen? I was looking at Boston. You always think about Boston, but let's be real here. Danny Ainge hasn't really pulled the trigger. And would he be willing to offer up Tatum or Brown? And then you say, well, does Tatum and Brown next to Wiggins? I don't know. But do you let Wiggins make any factor in who you get back, right? I mean, you kind of want to move off him anyway. I don't know. He's been better. But let me know. Put your trades down, your thoughts in the comments. And as always, man, hit that like, share, and subscribe. I'm out, y'all.